York, New York.
All right, welcome everybody to Derek's podcast. She was my guest, Jane Carr. She is part of the SKHS class of 2021. So we graduated the same year from SK, just about a year ago, I want to say, and then goes off to the University of Rhode Island, which is basically right down the road from SK. So first of all, how are you doing today? Obviously, college got out about a month ago, and summer is happening right now.
Yep. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. Today's kind of a weird day outside weather-wise, but summer's been going good. I'm out of URI, so I'm doing good.
And then how was your first year of college? Like everybody says, like there's obviously like a big adjustment to college, but for you going to URI is not as adjustment than other people necessarily, like going off to different schools and stuff like that. But like, what was the adjustment like going to URI?
Right, yeah. So as you said, like I am still down the road from my house. Literally, URI is 5 minutes away, but it totally is like a different world there when you're there, especially since I lived on campus. I ended up lucking out with my roommate, my suite mates. So it was a good situation that way. And I made a lot of good friends. I joined a sorority there. I did some intramural sports, just random things. And I ended up having a really good time. So I'm happy with my time spent there. And it was a good year.
And then obviously you mentioned that you were on campus. You were on campus for the entire year. And like looking to the future necessarily, like you still got to pay for the like on campus housing. What are you thinking? Like, are you thinking staying on campus? Like, it's a completely different atmosphere because I've talked to people that necessarily weren't on campus, and they're like, dude, it's like the same. But like being on campus, I feel like adds that extra college experience.
Yeah, I was really happy to be living on campus. I knew that I would obviously be living close to home, but I wouldn't have wanted to live at home because it would have been a totally different experience for me. And then with next year, I'm gonna still be living on campus in my sorority house. Some of my friends are going off campus, some people are living on campus still, but next year I'll still be on campus, and then the following years, hopefully like getting a house in Narragansett or like Bonnet somewhere down there would be fun along the line.
And then what are you excited for? Like obviously the freshman year happened, and freshman year is an adjustment, but it's also like a really exciting time meeting new people, learning more about yourself, how you got to like open up and different things like that. But like, what are you looking forward to in the next couple years?
I'm definitely looking forward to just kind of seeing where time takes me and seeing what opportunities unfold. I'm kind of like undecided with what I want to do with my life, like after college. Like I have an idea, but not set. And I don't know, just like kind of seeing where time takes me, meeting new people, um, seeing what opportunities I can take advantage of, whether that's like within my sorority or like something outside of that. So I don't know, just kind of, I'm excited to see where the years take me.
And then how, like, obviously everybody says their like freshman year was great, but like, what did you learn? Like, how was freshman year in general? And then what did you learn like from your freshman year?
Um, Probably like one of the biggest things that I learned is like just how important like keeping yourself like accountable for things are. Like, for example, making sure you wake up on time for classes, making sure you go to classes, get your homework in. I'm sort of someone who procrastinates a lot of my work. So seeing the effects of procrastination when it's actual real college work compared to the past few years, like where it's just high school, I definitely have seen like I can't push things off to the last minute anymore. And I don't know, just like working on yourself and keeping yourself accountable.
Yeah, like many of my guests have said that have gone to college, like the one thing is procrastination and like time management, I would say. And I look at it as like if you don't have like everybody has a little procrastination, but like if you limit your procrastination, the better you are going to be in college, and that's just a fact because some of my friends are like, "How are you done with your work?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just like once it's handed out, I just get it done. I can't just like not get it done." And then other people were like, "Dude, I'm staying like I stayed up one time like with one of my friends because he was just doing work, and I was just like, I got nothing better to do." And he's like, I stayed up till like 4 or 5 a.m. and he like did an all-nighter for work. I'm like, bro, like I literally tell him every single time, I'm not doing this, number one, for you ever again. And number two, like you gotta get your fucking shit done. Like I'm not like just gonna, wait and make sure you get it done last
I
minute.
know. I've definitely had some of my friends do that for me, and I'm the one I'm like your friend. I'm the one actually having to do the work.
And then what would you say is like your biggest motivation? Like what is your why? Like not like why am I continuing to like go through life, but like why am I going to college? Like why am I keep going necessarily, and like what do you like keep going for?
I think that one of my biggest reasons for why I like, continue like academically is like for my parents, because they have always just shown me like the importance of getting your education and how that can take you far in life. And I don't know, I just think that it's a very valuable thing that I shouldn't take for granted, even though sometimes I do complain and wonder like why I have to do all this work or this assignment or this exam. But when you really think about it, it is such a privilege to be able to go to school and to have access to education. So that's definitely a big like reminder, and I guess the reason why I continue.
And I think one thing with college has changed. Like I don't necessarily know this firsthand, but like I've seen it through other people and talked to other people, and like the real change with college has been COVID. And I think like COVID for us, like it's good that COVID happened and then we went to college instead of some of the people that went before COVID, because
Mhm.
some of the people that went before COVID, they talked to me little bit about this is there was more general education classes. There was not as many classes focused in on their major, and most things were tests and exams and stuff like that. And now it's more like presentations and like other stuff along the line. So I think that aspect of college is at least helpful for me. Some people might be different, but I think it's very good. But what would you say like one moment in particular like has changed you like for the better? Like one thing you've learned from, and then like you've learned from that moment and you're like better for that moment.
Like in college or just like in life
Just,
in general?
just in general, because obviously college it's only been 1 year.
Right.
So
Oh, that's a hard question. Um, Something that's changed me for the better.
like even something that you might think back on like 10 years down the road and be like, wow, like I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that happened. That made me who I am today.
Oh, geez.
Like what people say is like injuries or like people
That's
say
true.
going to college and like stuff like
Yeah.
that, but like your college experience is a little bit different since you're still going like you're out of the house, but you're not out of the house, if that makes any sense, because you're just
Right.
like down the road. So like I wouldn't say that's a major like transition necessarily, but
Mhm.
like if it was a transition that happened where you had to give up on something or adapt to something different or like anything along the lines of that, and if that hasn't happened, like why has life for you been so like steady?
Well, I would say like a major moment like in my life was like my parents' divorce, which happened like many years ago. But that was definitely like a major change and definitely has had an impact on who I am today. You know, like having your parents separated, whereas some of my friends like have their parents still together. It's definitely something different, but um the way that my family and parents and we all have like gotten through it has definitely made me a better person and a different person than I would have been if that hadn't happened. But yeah, and it's interesting like going off to college and still like being able to come home and be happy to see my family and it's just that definitely is a major thing in my life for sure.
And then how did COVID impact you? Like, I always talk about like with people, COVID and COVID impacts people in lots of different ways. Most people I've had on, it's like COVID didn't really impact me. But like COVID impacts everybody in their its own ways. Some people it's like school like really was tough. Some people like they learned a lot from themselves. Like I learned a lot about myself and I feel like COVID helped. Like it sounds stupid to say that COVID was good
No,
for
I know what you
our
mean. Yeah.
society, but I think COVID was definitely good for our society. So like what was COVID effects on you and like what was like COVID life? COVID life like if I could speak
um,
properly today.
COVID life was definitely different, as like everyone else would say. I think that I have similar feelings toward like that you have towards it. Sometimes, I mean, obviously, I was sad about the part where like we couldn't go out to things, and that was definitely a major shift. And just like looking at it from like a worldly perspective of all the people who were dying and all the people who were sick, like that definitely was hard for me to think about because that was very sad. But in my own life, I luckily wasn't affected really by anyone who had serious complications with COVID. Um, so for the most part, it was kind of just like spending time with family. I know that like my siblings and I had moments where we just like were so close because we were spending time together. It definitely made me appreciate them and appreciate that I could have someone to spend that was just like a door away in my house. I keep getting memories that pop up from like 2 years ago today now that like show just the random things we would do around my house during those weird times. But yeah, I definitely had a pretty like decent experience when that was all happening. So I was grateful for that.
And I feel like from COVID in general, I feel like I appreciated just people in general more. Like when I went to work, like right after school, like I got to see people. Like some people were out of work and didn't work or weren't able to do certain things and like just seeing people that either I didn't know necessarily or just seeing people that like I knew and they were like, "Oh, hey Derek, like how are you?" And like everybody was like asking how I'm doing and
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Life's good, man." Like COVID life is just,
COVID
it
life.
it wasn't that bad, but I feel
Yeah.
like I think everybody learned like a lot, like from
Yeah.
COVID.
And
And
then
I
like
think,
together like meant so much more than just like as simple as it was before. Like gathering with people means so much more now, and I feel like everyone sees that.
and then like what did you do? Like obviously like I worked, I did like everybody did something during COVID. I feel like most people like found their own like passion necessarily like during COVID. So what did you do like during the quarantine?
I mean, so we were out of school for that little bit, and then we came back to school. That was junior year. And then it was the summer, and I felt like the summer was kind of back to normal. I mean, like during the school year I kind of just tried to get my work done, finish off the year, and then we had summer and I worked that summer, which was also a little bit weird because it was the summertime, but then we had the masks at work and it was just like crazy because it would get hot in the kitchen and just insane. But then when it was back to senior year, that was when I feel like it started to get really weird because that was when we were expecting to have like kind of a normal time. We were planning for like prom and all these events, but then we couldn't have our fall like Sadie's dance or winter balls, all those things that we all were looking forward to our whole like high school experience we couldn't have. So that was definitely sad and took some adjusting to. But I feel like the end of the year when we wrapped up and got through all that time, like it was a good ending. So I felt good about that.
I think the word is like chaos because I feel like our senior year was a lot of chaos because
Yeah.
you go in and everybody's like, are we gonna like how is COVID? Like how is COVID theologically? And we
Yeah.
started off in person, but they weren't really ready for us in person. So it was just weird at that time. And then like I feel like we had like a 50-50 college experience. Cause like
Yeah.
at the beginning we missed like like certain events. And then at the back end, like we still had the events, but
Mm-hmm.
like they were moved to different days because of capacity and all
Yep.
this and that. And it
Yeah.
was confusing, but like it all ended up at the end of the day, it all ended up being like the way it was. And I think it worked out
Yeah.
for the most part, and I think the people that really wanted to go and really wanted to do certain things were able to. I just remember graduation, like, looking back, and there's a couple people that didn't even go, and I'm just, like, thinking back to those people, and I'm like, I haven't seen those people, like,
I know.
in 3 years because, like, I went to school during COVID,
Yeah.
and, like, it's just like, what the hell are they doing right now?
I know. It is crazy.
And one thing, like, I've talked to other people and they think the same way as I do. And it's like I look back on like you during high school, at least for me, I didn't realize like how much I was gonna miss it, like
Mm,
after college. And
yeah.
then another thing is like just walking down the hallway, seeing people that you might not necessarily talk to, but just
Mm,
seeing them in general. Like I talk to many people and they're like, I wonder what they're doing. Like, do you
yeah.
ever have those moments? And then obviously at URI, like how often do you see people like from our high school?
Oh, there's definitely a lot of people that I just run into everywhere, whether that just be walking to class or the dining hall or the gym or something. But it's always good to see like a lot of my friends who are from out of state or don't really know anyone else from their hometown that came to URI. They're like, oh my gosh, they're so surprised that I like recognize so many people. But I don't know. I kind of like having the familiar faces there because it's like, I don't know. It's just a nice reminding that like people I know are there and it's nice to say hi.
And then how would you say like everybody has a different connotation of like what high school life was as you like went through the rundown of like junior senior year. But like overall, how would you say your high school experience was? Like obviously every high school has positives and everyone has negatives. Like that's not like what I'm looking for, but what what was either good, what was bad, like what was your high school experience really like?
I would say that I had a pretty good high school experience. I definitely was sad and get sad sometimes thinking back to like memories or certain teachers or whatever that I miss. But I think a main thing that kind of surrounded me all throughout high school was sports. So like I was a three-sport athlete for every year of high school, and that always surrounded me with like a friend group and like people that I would play with. And I don't know, it was just always something fun to do. We were always practicing together, like working hard and but also having a good time, and having those people throughout my whole experience. And then obviously the people outside of sports too. Like it was just I was very glad that I participated in sports and kept with it throughout high school because it definitely brought me a lot of good memories. And then just like teachers, I liked talking to teachers and having good relationships with them. And I don't know, I just think that I definitely had a positive experience and I do miss it sometimes.
Like obviously you mentioned like three sport athlete. Like what was the transition from like playing sports like kind of like more like on a more normal level in high school and then going to college and let's be honest, like unless if you're a D1 athlete, you're not playing sports as like regularly. Like
Right.
so what was that like transition like?
That was definitely a really weird transition for me because you're right. Like I went from having like all of these practices like every single day and not having like a season of the school year, like basically ever to have just a break. It was always like we had school and then after school we'd have practice and then we'd have pasta parties and then I'd see my friends and everything. So it was definitely a routine that I got into and a routine that I enjoyed. And then I came to I got to URI and I wasn't doing any sports. Like I was just like meeting people, like going to classes and like trying to figure out my own life. And once I like sat back and thought about it, I was like, wow, like I like haven't played sports in so long. So I definitely miss that. But there's the gym, which is sometimes hard because then it's kind of like you need to make yourself go there. You don't have a scheduled practice or a game that you have to go to. It's like it's on you. So that definitely took some adjusting, and I'm still trying to figure out that schedule and everything, but I definitely do miss playing sports.
And then what would you say like the impact of sports has had on your life? Like obviously playing like in high school, it was like it was basically part of your routine, I should say. Sorry, your routine. Like, what was it? Like, what was the impact of you like playing them, and like, what did you like learn from sports? Because like everybody learns from sports, because I feel like sports just in general, like each and every single sport teaches you a different life lesson, whether it
Yeah.
be never give up or whether it's just to compete or like whatever it is. But I feel like they learn a valuable lesson like towards your life. What would that be for you?
I mean, you did highlight some of those things that I was going to say, just about like teamwork, hard work, competition, sportsmanship, all of those things, which are just like so important, not only towards like the game or sport that you're playing, but also outside of sports and like in your real life. Like you can use all of those lessons that you learned in playing sports and apply them to your real life. So I don't know, there's just so many different like positive things that have come out of sports for me that I'm very grateful that I experienced that. So there's too many to name.
And then, like, moving on a little bit, what would you say is like, it's a two-part question. First of all, like, what would you say is your biggest regret? And then, like, the opposite of that, what would you say is like your like happiest slash like proudest moment?
um
Like, in
Something.
the regret question is more like, because everybody doesn't necessarily regret something, because obviously, like, we're still young, but like,
Right.
it's like one thing, like people talk about injuries, but they don't regret, they just regret like the severity of it, or like they regret certain circumstances, but they learn from it. They just wish it turned out differently.
Hmm. um Something that I regret doing, trying to think. I feel like it's not like a certain moment that I regret, but just like overall, kind of to do with my like procrastination, just like about like getting things done and like doing it while I can and like living in the moment and choosing to do that work now so that you can enjoy your time later. You know what I mean? Like regarding like procrastination and stuff. So I wish that, and in the future, I'm trying to work on it, but just like taking advantage of my time and like planning accordingly and like doing things to set myself up for like more success, because in the end, like whether it's like I'm procrastinating like a piece of work or like schoolwork or something, like I usually always get it done. It's not that I like won't get it done. I will get it done and it will be like in good quality, but it's just like, why did I waste all of that time like pushing it off? So in the future, I'm working on just like getting things done and planning out like my day, my work, whatever, so that I can really enjoy my time and make the best use of my time.
And then what do you say like the proudest moment is? Like obviously this is like big, like it's a big question, and like everybody I talk to, they're like, there's not necessarily one thing that stands out necessarily, but like one like moment that was like impactful for you, like not necessarily like family related. Like I know you briefly touched on that, but like one thing that impacted you that had to do with you. I know that's a little like weird, but like I'm more thinking like obviously college was a huge jump. Like not playing sports is a huge jump. But like what's the number one like thing that you're like, geez, like that was impactful and that really made a difference. Like made a difference.
Um, Again, I feel like I can't think of like a moment. I mean, there have been like proud moments. Like if you look at like my, I guess, sports career or something, like we won the state championships like junior year. That was definitely a big moment for me because I had come off of not really playing my sophomore year, not really playing my freshman year. And then for me to be playing like varsity when our team won, and like that was just like a crazy, like proud, happy moment. But I think like overall, if it wasn't talking about like a moment, I feel like I'm proud of like, I don't know, like putting myself out there for others. Like, I don't know, like trying to be kind and I don't know, like doing class office and making relationships with my class officers and teachers and like other classmates. I don't know, it's very like rewarding to like know that I have a lot of people around me that I can go to and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and then obviously, like looking back a little bit, like we briefly mentioned COVID, and then like we've been talking about sports a little bit. Like, do you look at sports any different, like after COVID? Like people are like, no, I still like have, like I still love them, and there's no difference. But you have to understand that COVID did happen. Like you basically didn't see sports. You kind of were locked up, basically doing nothing. You couldn't really go to gyms. You couldn't really do anything. So, like, what is your like perspective on sports after COVID?
I feel like I have the same. I mean, after like now that sports are kind of back to normal, I'm like, oh, that didn't really like change. Like COVID didn't really change my outlook on sports very much, but definitely in the moment when they announced like we weren't going to be coming back to school for a little bit, and then when they announced like spring seasons were going to be canceled, like I couldn't play lacrosse my junior year, and then my basketball season junior year was cut short, and then the following fall, like my senior year fall and basketball in the winter, I had to wear masks, and like it was just very strange. Like I couldn't believe that we were playing soccer outdoors with masks on, and I don't know, it was just very different, and like I forget about it a lot, but then when I actually think about it, I'm like that was so weird, but we like did it anyways just cuz we thought that that was the best thing to do and we were trying to follow the guidelines. But that definitely was a weird moment in sports, but now that it's kind of back to normal, I definitely am feeling like fine about it.
Hmm. And then, like, what would you say the biggest impact on your life? Like, you mentioned like playing sports is a big part of your life. Like you or I, like family is a big part. And like obviously you're still trying to figure out what life is like after college. But like who, like I always ask this question, I say the biggest impact of your life, but it's more like who makes you who? Like at least from my perspective, like from my family, like the people that make me me, like aren't here. Like my grandfather on my dad's side passed away about a year ago before
I'm
I
sorry.
was born. And then like my great uncle, like great uncle, I want to say, who like that's where I get my humor from. Like that's like if you combine those two people, like
Yeah.
that's me. Like who would you say like those two people like are for you?
Well, there's definitely a lot of impactful people in my life. I would have to say the main people being like my family members. My mom and dad obviously raised me and like taught me to be the person that I am today, I guess. But also my siblings, my brother and sister. Um, they both have had such a big impact on me too, just because growing up with them and everything. But I know I can't really choose like two people because then there's also my grandparents who have like a big impact. And I don't know, I just am very lucky to have a lot of good people surrounding me who have impacted who I am today.
And then like when did you, like looking back a little bit to sports, like when did you start playing sports? Because obviously like that changes things a little bit. Because I started playing a little bit later than most people, and I feel like my outlook is different because of that. So like
Hmm.
when did you?
I've like asked my parents this question before. I think I started playing with like just soccer. Like I started playing soccer maybe when I was like 4. I don't know, whenever
Yeah,
like the normal age is to start playing like
yeah,
with
that's probably around the normal age. I didn't
yeah.
start playing sports till I was like 6 or 7,
Hmm. Yeah, so
which
I think it was
sucks.
definitely that I was probably like when I was around 4. And then I started playing more soccer, and then once I was older, I started basketball. I did a little bit of softball. that didn't last long. I did lacrosse for like 1 year and then quit, but then revisited it back in high school. But it definitely started with soccer when I was younger.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then like we mentioned this earlier, where you're not necessarily sure what's to come. But what would you say where would you like to see yourself like 10 years down the line?
Um, so currently I am in the health and physical education program at URI. So kind of on track to be a PE teacher, which I definitely see myself doing just because if I was going to be a teacher, it would definitely be like gym teacher because it's just such a fun job and you get to play games and kind of be that fun outlet for the students in the school compared to being like, I don't know, a math teacher, science teacher, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I don't know, I see that as like a very like balanced life. Summers off, weekends off, holidays off. So I definitely see that as a potential career path, but also, I don't know, I'm open to other things and just as I said earlier, kind of seeing where time takes me and seeing what the rest of my years in college do and what opportunities come.
And then this next question stumps a lot of people. What is one thing like you want people to know about you? Like obviously like the SK community like knows you and like knows like characteristics like about yourself, but like obviously there's people out there who might be listening, some of my buddies from college or like other people just like in general that like either I know or let's be honest, it could be like 15 years from now, it could be like a job person that they're like going on searching you up and they're like, "Oh, you're on this video or whatever." So
True.
like what would you say like to those people that don't necessarily like know who you are? What would you say like about yourself?
Oof. Um, something about myself.
Like cuz you mentioned sports, you mentioned like what you do in college,
Right.
but like who is the real Jane Carr?
I don't know. I feel like just like especially to like new people, like I'm very like open to meeting new people and I feel like I don't know, I feel like I'm an open person and want like the best for people and it's I don't know. Like I'm a very like sympathetic like person, so I like talking to people like I try to like understand their stories and what they have to say and I don't know, I enjoy talking to people, getting to know people, so I feel like if there was someone who doesn't know me watching, like just to know that about me and hopefully they will be open and trusting to me too, if that makes sense. I don't know.
You know, I know what you're getting at, but like it's harder for like the people like that aren't listening like to like get a gist, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's easier like for someone else to say it than
Mm,
like for yourself to say it because like who really are you? You like you know who you are, but like I
mm.
feel like self promote is kind of like hard
Yeah.
at certain points, and like how
Yeah.
I look at people, and I feel like what I try to do, and I feel like what most people try to do, but aren't as like successful is like politics aside or whatever. Like I try to get people's opinions
Mhm.
like both ways, and then judge like what I believe, and I try to understand like each person's beliefs, each person's perspectives, because I feel like
Yeah.
each person's perspectives are so big. Like whether it be you're from Colorado or you're from Rhode Island or you're from Maine, like you all have a different perspective of life, and it's just so for me it's intriguing to see like what how these people grew up and
Mhm.
like understanding like why they are who they are. And I
Yeah.
feel like this question kind of says like who really are you? Like are you just a typical person from Rhode Island?
Mhm.
And then like it just shows like what type of person you're trying to be as well.
Right.
And then obviously we went to PCL elementary school together. Like that's a bigger elementary school. So talk a little bit about that. Like how is that life like?
Peacedale. Wow, we're bringing it back. I enjoyed my years at Peacedale. I mean, I can't really remember too many, but definitely specific little things come up to my mind. But yeah, I loved Peacedale. I loved the big playground. I loved my teachers there. I got lucky with a lot of my teachers. So I definitely had a positive experience at Peacedale. That was fun.
And then looking back on those years, like do you feel like, because at least maybe this is just my perspective, but I feel like those years like made me who I am more so than like high school years. And
Mhm.
like for me, I feel like the big transition was from that obviously elementary school to middle school where we knew most of the kids, so it wasn't
Yeah,
as big of a deal. So like talk a little bit about that.
like transitioning from
Like
elementary.
transitioning from elementary to high school and like how Peacedale meant to you.
Yeah, I feel like the same. Like I remember going to Broad Rock and being like, wow, we once had little Peacedale and now all of the elementary schools are kind of meshing together at Broad Rock. And I remember being like excited, but also a little like I remember on the first day at Broad Rock, I was so nervous. I like couldn't eat my whole breakfast. And my dad works at Broad Rock, like as you know, and he drove me in and I remember it being just like so strange. But I loved my teacher in 5th grade and then I ended up on what was my team? Why can't I remember what team I was on? Sixth
Emerald, emeralds or
Sapphire?
emeralds or sapphire. Yeah, you probably were sapphire.
I think that's what it was. I think. But yeah, I that was kind of fun because then there was like so many other people there that you could meet and talk to and everything. So, and I was very shy back like in elementary school and middle school, I would say, but I feel like when it came to Curtis, like when we transitioned from Broad Rock to Curtis Corner, that's when I started to like kind of come out of my shell a little bit. And then in high school, more so. Um, so yeah, it was it was a good experience.
All right, and like obviously you mentioned earlier like how like sports affected you as a person, but like do you and you mentioned like your favorite like sports moment. But like what was your favorite thing just about sports in general?
I think my favorite thing about sports was just spending time with um, my friends and just having a group like that to go to because it's like I was spending time with my friends, but I also was playing a sport that I loved and I was getting a workout, you know what I mean? And that's good for both like mental and physical health. So I think that was my favorite thing about sports was like the people that I was with and like the memories we made while playing them.
And then would you say there was one anything in particular that you would say like your favorite moment, like favorite part of South Kingston South Kingston High School was?
I feel like one of my favorite moments was honestly like graduation was a really like good moment. I felt like that was really special for all of us and the fact that we were able to pull it off and we were going to do it in the Ryan Center but then that didn't work out and then we were able to do it at Curtis Corner where most of us went to middle school and I don't know, it was nice being all together and seeing everyone and I don't know, that was a very special moment and obviously like I think of that first because it's the most recent school event but
Mhm.
um, that definitely was a big moment so I liked that memory.
And then obviously you went to URI, so like what is your favorite part of SK like in general? Because like the people that go to URI, I ask this question because like you went to URI for a reason. There's a particular thing about the community. Like what is it and like what's your favorite part of it?
I think my favorite part about South Kingstown and being here still at URI is just one part being the location where we're so close to the beach. It's a really nice community to be in. I mean, Narragansett Beach and the seawall is such a nice spot to go to, whether that's in the summer or you're just driving by in your car. And then also my family, like all of my family lives in Rhode Island and they mean so much to me. So it's nice being able to be in my own like little world at URI, but also have them like a call away if I ever did need anything.
Hmm. And then like obviously we graduated like literally probably about a year ago, I want to
Yeah.
say. So like what do you miss the most?
About high school,
Yeah.
I feel like I miss the people and just like, I don't know, like not having as many responsibilities maybe too. Like we're just like in high school and we're like having fun, and obviously like there's low points in high school and there's annoying schoolwork and tests and everything that you have to do, but looking back at like the good moments, like I do miss um how like close and everything everyone was. But also it's nice now that we're kind of all figuring out our lives like in our different paths, and like as much as that's sad, it's also like cool to hear about other people's experiences too.
And then like last question, like it's kind of like about like hearing about like other people's experiences. Like this is obviously getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but like high school reunions are gonna be coming like faster than like we know.
Mhm.
So like what are you looking forward to like about them? Like one thing you want to know about them, like just like what are you looking forward to?
That's gonna be very funny to like have our high school reunions, and you're right, it probably is gonna come way faster than we think, but I'm the most excited to just hear about other people's experiences and also just to see where I will be at in those moments too. Because I think the first reunion that we'd have will be 5 years, I want to say.
I thought it was 5, but I've been
I think
hearing
it's
from
five.
people that college is 5 and high school is 10, but who knows?
Maybe. I don't know. Because I'd have to ask my parents what they did. But um I think it's just gonna be so like 5 years from, or I guess now it'd be 4 years from now. Like I don't know where I'm gonna be. It's gonna be so funny to see like where all these people went, and if they went to college, if they didn't go to college, if they have a job, if they have like a family, like that'll be so interesting to see. So I'm excited for that.
All right. Thank you for your time, Jane. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thanks for having me.
Trap, trap, money, penny.